Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to continue to be your daily advocate. If you're new here or you're not subscribed for any reason, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who have been watching and following me for so long. It truly means a lot, and I'm glad that I can be this person.
But whales are moving XRP. Of course, these are anonymous wallets, so we don't know for sure who is transferring this XRP to Bitstamp. What we do know, though, is that crypto is becoming more mainstream. And, I wanted to bring you guys this from XRP Crypto Wolf, and I'm not too interested in the actual content of this article, but I wanted to bring this up, guys. This is now Time Magazine, time.com. So Time Magazine reporting on this. This is Brad Garlinghouse from time.com. US is behind on crypto regulation and it discourages investment, says Ripple CEO. Here's what you should know. And again, guys, from time.com. This is all stuff we already know in the XRP community, but it's important to note the mainstream is listening and they are just starting to report on this. So the United States is behind the 8 ball compared to other leading global economies in providing clarity about how it will regulate digital assets. This coming from Brad Garlinghouse. And that's a problem for investors, he says. Here's a quote: "Without regulatory clarity, you're navigating with uncertainty. It discourages investment and it certainly discourages investment here in the United States." They talk a little bit about XRP and some of the details regarding the cryptocurrency here in the article, but then they mention the lawsuit. The outcome of the lawsuit could be a turning point for the crypto industry. Listen to this, guys. This again reported by Time Magazine. Ripple could be on the way to victory after clearing a big hurdle this week, but if the SEC wins, most tokens and coins trading on the platform in the US could be deemed securities. That in turn could determine how the crypto industry will grow and be regulated. So what does this mean for investors? For crypto investors who are wondering what to make of regulatory talks and new developments, including President Biden's executive order on cryptocurrency, the Federal Reserve's digital currency report, and the SEC's recent announcement to regulate crypto exchanges, plenty of experts say crypto regulation is actually a good thing. More regulation could increase market stability and value of crypto and bring new protections to investors. And then Time down here is giving their readers some suggestions on how they can protect themselves, how they can prepare for regulation. I mean, I think the bigger point here is that Time is even just reporting on this and actually interviewing Brad Garlinghouse, whose company, Ripple, is currently in court fighting the SEC to get that regulatory clarity across the board. Now, if you didn't catch this morning's video, guys, I'll link it up here in the top right-hand corner. I wanted to bring you guys back to a 2020 video of Gary Gensler saying that. He was saying in 2022, which is right now, the president is going to choose a new guy over there at the Fed in order to help usher in a new financial framework for the United States at the federal level. We fast forward to last Friday, April the 15th, and Joe Biden just did nominate Michael Barr, who was once on the Ripple board. So an interesting connection there and a few questions raised. Nevertheless, I think Ripple is feeling very, very confident, especially at this stage, to the point now where outlets like Time Magazine are even reporting on this. Brad Garlinghouse has stayed steadfast, though, this entire time. He really hasn't wavered. I think he either knew it was baked in, he knew that Ripple was going to win because of all the influential partnerships that the company has secured over the last several years around the world. But I also truly think that he is very, very confident in the product, very confident that XRP can actually solve the financial problems that the world has been facing, considering they are currently using a crumbling financial system that is just not up to par for today's needs. So here we have it, guys, from Time Magazine, another article just stating what we already know. Brad Garlinghouse here saying that crypto regulatory clarity very, very important in the United States if we do not want to stifle innovation. And Stefan Hubert here pointing this out, you realize that if you burn Ripple's 50%, so now we're getting into the escrow, okay? It will get even worse because then anonymous whales owning now 25% will own the new 50%, but without the predictability and security of the escrow. This is in relation to people who don't quite understand why the escrow exists and why it is important that Ripple has the escrow. XRP European down here saying, I don't understand your view on this, and JV.XRP here trying to explain it a little better. It's easy to understand. Right now, Ripple has 50% of the total supply. We know they're a good steward and they have the best interests of the asset. If they burn all of their 50%, whoever's the next biggest holder will then have the influence over the asset's value. So that's just it, right? When the supply is depleted, especially by a company like Ripple, who has been, as JVXRP points out here, a good steward in that sense, they have not utilized their influence irresponsibly with regard to the XRP cryptocurrency. So you have a good steward of the cryptocurrency unleashing the XRP on a scheduled month-to-month basis. As we know, XRP is released from the escrow every single month. And so if they did burn that, think about all the hodlers out there, think about all the people who really don't care about the ecosystem and only care about themselves and getting rich. Well, then they can manipulate the supply and do as they please. Like I said, it only took about $175,000 to purchase 35 million XRP in mid-2017. And so where do banks fit into all this? Because we've also got to ask that question, and are banks really scared? First of all, I want to say this, okay? When I first started this channel, I thought to myself, this was the exact thing that I thought to myself. Why would banks even need to exist if Ripple exists? Why can't Ripple just create, okay, one of two things. Why can't they just create an app so that people can transfer value seamlessly with the XRP cryptocurrency? You don't even need any of those third-party companies like Western Union, the MoneyGrams of the world, and the multitude of others that have popped up over the last few years. You don't need any of them. You can transfer value on the Ripple app, let's say for sake of argument, and that would be the solution. And I couldn't wrap my head around it at that time. Now I'm seeing the important part that I missed at that point. Ripple is partnering with different financial institutions around the world. They do not want to be the only game in town. They want to disseminate the technology so that everybody wins. The other thing I was thinking at that time, why can't Ripple just be their own bank? The Bank of Ripple. We don't need Bank of America, and we don't need JP Morgan, and we don't need all those other banks. We can have the Bank of Ripple, and Ripple can essentially become a bank and do all the things that banks do, only better. Well, they also decided not to become a bank. Instead, they wanted to license their technology to banks. And this makes sense because, you can't just have one global bank around the world. That would not be a good move for a lot of different reasons that I don't want to get into in this particular video. But you see the problem, okay? Because banks are feeling threatened. Banks, if they don't want to jump on board with RippleNet, they are going to be left behind for many different reasons. One of them, in the United States specifically, includes that idea of primary, secondary, and tertiary banking, right? The smaller banks used to be able to lend money from the bigger banks, used to be able to borrow from their Nostro and Vostro accounts if there was going to be a cross-border transaction that needed to be happening overseas. So the tertiary banks, for example, would pay a primary bank like the Goldman Sachs's and the Chase's a fee in order to be able to leverage their Nostro and Vostro accounts. Well, enter Ripple, and the Nostro and Vostro is basically obsolete. So this is threatening the biggest banks out there. As per Digital Dodo here, in my opinion, what scares people or banks is that they probably do see the need for XRP to be north of $1,000 per coin. And I can see how this is making more and more sense as the years go on. As Ripple becomes more influential, as they have a bigger global presence, you can see why all the money is going to be transferred through XRP and why the coin could go north of $1,000 if indeed all that money is going to be flowing through it. He goes on to say that makes Ripple a $50 trillion company. Apple is worth $2 trillion. A company with that much financial power will disrupt so much in this sector, and that's scaring them and even scaring governments. So you can see why the SEC is trying to protect the interests of the national banks, the Goldman Sachs's, the JP Morgans. This is their last-ditch effort to bring Ripple into court and to claim XRP was a security and illegal security sale. This is how they felt like they were going to steamroll over Ripple. However, it's not working. And so with that in mind, Stefan Hubert also bringing this up. That's why I think Ripple's IPO is so significant. Through the IPO, any bank using RippleNet can indirectly buy a share of value of the escrow itself through share purchases, which makes it more bearable for banks to give so much value to a single company, in my opinion. So Ripple, could be worth $50 trillion one day. That would, of course, mean that the XRP in escrow that they hold would be worth a heck of a lot more than it is today. I'm not saying that's happening tomorrow, but over the next decade, it could be very possible. Stefan Hubert going on down here saying, there are three keys for these kind of prices. So the $1,000 per coin, escrow, legal clarity, and an IPO. I think exactly the escrow, what is seen today as a disadvantage, is the real advantage and the basic requirement to transport large values on the XRPL, transparency and opportunity to participate. Chris down here also bringing up that point with the banks. The big banks are not willing to let Ripple grow so big. That is the issue. Okay, So a few things here, of course, we've got the banks fighting against Ripple through the SEC lawsuit. Indirectly, banks, they're just not coming out and saying, no, we can't have Ripple here because that would cut into our business. Yet we are seeing a new shaping for the future of finance, being able to move all the money. And with all the money being moved, let's not forget, this is in the quadrillions of dollars, guys. An XRP coin has to be worth a high valuation in order to move such large quantities. So are the banks in trouble? Well, let me bring you guys to this post here. This was posted on Reddit about 10 years ago, okay? And this is a great find here by OK____cool on Twitter. This was a post made by Arthur Brito. Have you heard of open transactions? Pre-XRPL founder knows Arthur Brito, per fellow travelers on Reddit, stumbled upon this Brito post from 10 years ago, the inception of Ripple. Thought it was interesting. And listen to what he says here. In the future, these three complementary technologies will merge: Bitcoin, open transactions, and Ripple. Again, guys, this was from 10 years ago. Open transactions will gateway our current blockchain Bitcoins in and out of open transaction Bitcoins. OT, Bitcoins, will allow people to have instant anonymous transactions off the blockchain. This will solve an aspect of Bitcoin scalability. Open transactions will also allow transactions using contracts and other currencies. And Ripple will allow people to enter the cryptocurrency milieu without needing to use an exchange. So even at this point, they were saying Ripple is going to be this intermediary that really shakes things up. And just down here, this is a longer post here by fellow traveler, a response from, again, 10 years ago now. And so, where was it? Just down here, right over here. At some point, OT will also support Ripple, payments following a path, P2P, rooted across credit lines that individuals extend to each other in multiple currencies. The potential here is that banks and exchanges will no longer be able to act as the gatekeepers to the financial system, since people will be able to settle up with those they already know offline and in any currency they wish.
So enjoy your day, everybody. I'm always here for you. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to subscribe. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and I always have your back. So thanks so much, everybody.